Morning, everyone. Anyway, I am Sheila Doles. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm happy to be your worship associate today. Our minister, Reverend William Levewood, affectionately known as Rev Lev, is here most Sundays, but today we have a very special service led by our LGBTQ plus group, True Accotink Colors, or TAC. We open and welcome to the ancestral people of this land, acknowledging that our church, like all of Burke, rests on the unceded territory of the Manahoac tribe of the Great Sioux Nation. We seek healing and the realization of justice with the people of this land who live on in their descendants, the present-day members of the Monacan Indian Nation, the Patawamak Indian tribe of Virginia, and the Piscataway Indian Nation. We honor the ancestors as we move toward healing so that all, together, shall one day know full justice. If you aren't new to Accotink, look around. Do you see people you haven't met or haven't spoken to in a while? These people like you and want to meet you. Help us live up to our mission of being a welcoming and inclusive spiritual home for all by reaching out and making a connection. By visiting this congregation, newcomers are in a transition moment, and people in transitions are more open to new friendships. That means that your new best friend might be here this morning, and this is your chance to get to them before someone else does. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we encourage you to stay for our social hour, online and in person, immediately after this service. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Kate Heilig. My pronouns are she and her. As we honor National Coming Out Day and Indigenous Peoples Day, we light our chalice with these words by Two-Spirit poet Marcy Angeles. You there, you are sacred, and I am sacred too. Everyone and every being provides a purpose. No purpose too small for even our beetle brothers and sisters bring us message. Our time for all ages is a short excerpt from the graphic memoir Homebody by Theo Parrish.
I began a series of small but important coming out moments with this one. One year, for our city's Pride celebration, the shop I was working at had a stall along the parade route. We were painting pride flags on the faces to raise money for a local charity.
Thanks. Hey, while it's quiet, would you paint my face? Of course, if you'll paint mine too. Okay, which flag would you like? Pan flag, please.
We had both subtly hinted at our identities before this, but in this small moment, we definitely shared a part of ourselves with each other.
Okay, your turn. This one, please. Thank you.
On that day, we helped each other to wear our pride on our faces for the first time.
Hey, bud. Nice face paint. Thanks. Speaking of, could you use they, them pronouns for me from now on? Of course we can. Thank you for sharing this with us.
I was letting my light shine for all to see. I got my first glimpse of how good it could feel to be authentically me, and I didn't feel alone at all. I was surrounded by a community of those who understood that living authentically in a world that takes every opportunity to squeeze you uncomfortably into a box of someone else's design, that is the most radical act of self-love. Blossoming in an environment where the odds are stacked so immeasurably against you is a beautiful act of defiance. A joy that's like bright white starlight that shines deep from within, gracing everything it touches, warming the skin of those lucky enough to bask in it, shining a beacon of hope to those yet to flourish. Being openly queer can feel intimidating, but every day, just by being yourself, you inspire the people around you. You don't have to be an influencer to influence.
Morning, Jojo. Hey, it's Theo.
Whoever you are and whatever you do,
Who's next, please?
someone is seeing you
Thanks. Have a good day.
and realizing
There is a place for me in this world.
And also wanted to mention that this copy of Homebody is available for someone to sponsor in the upcoming auction. See, I got an auction pitch in early this time, yeah. And it will be added to our church library for anyone who wants to read the whole book. Hi, I am Kate McDivitt, and I'm genderqueer, so I don't have preferred pronouns. I like my name used. In previous services and discussions, I've shared with you that I'm genderqueer, or more specifically, Today, I'd like to share a little bit about another part of my identity, the fact that I'm asexual. For those unfamiliar with the term, the simplest definition is having a lack of sexual attraction to anybody. In reality, asexuality can be an umbrella term, with a whole spectrum of experiences and other labels beneath it. The shorthand word many of us use for asexual is ace. I'm ace. And for folks who are aromantic, the shorthand is aro. And if you're both aromantic and asexual, you're aro ace. I want to share a little today about my experience being ace in a society where people are assumed to be allosexual, or allo, the term for folks who feel sexual attraction for others. When people are dating or in a relationship, that's something you can see. It's visible. Asexuality is largely an invisible orientation because it's difficult to show a lack of something. How do you show something not happening? In addition, even some members of the LGBTQIA+ community don't consider it a real identity. Because it's invisible, they assume aces don't feel discrimination, and they claim the letter A only stands for ally. I've been told that I just haven't found the right person yet. I've been told it's just a phase and I'll grow out of it. I've been told that it's such a shame I would choose to deny myself a great pleasure in life. I've been told the way I feel isn't natural or even real. These might sound familiar because they're all things often said to people who identify as gay, lesbian, bi, pan, etc. But asexuality is real. And it even has its own culture with pride flags, inside jokes, vocabulary, and symbols. One of those symbols is what I really want to share with you today. How do some asexuals make their presence in the world visible? With this. This is an ace ring. It's a black ring worn on the middle finger of the right hand. Not everyone who's asexual wears one, and not everyone who wears one is asexual, like everything we don't want to assume. But for people who know it as a symbol, it's recognizable. And the comment, "Hey, I like your ring," takes on a deeper meaning. It's my 10-year anniversary this month of wearing my ace ring. I honestly only know this because I did a search through my Etsy purchase history last week when I wrote this, so I probably bought it to start wearing it during Asexuality Awareness Week, which takes place every October. An ace ring is not a well-known symbol in greater society, so it, unfortunately, doesn't help me fend off unwanted advances or potential suitors, much as I wish it had the magical power to do so. But I've had a lot of good experiences since I came out visibly and began wearing this ring, and I'd like to share just a few with you. Years ago, after a library writing group, I was talking privately with a member who wanted advice about the journey of an LGBTQ+ character in her story. During the conversation, I mentioned I had recently come out as asexual, and she said something to the effect of, "I know, I saw your ring, and I figured you were a safe person to talk to about this." I went to an in-person reading and talk that author T.J. Klune gave in Arlington a few years ago. It was my first time attending that sort of an event since the pandemic began, and I was nervous to be around people again. But he's one of my favorite authors, so I wasn't going to miss it. When it was my turn to have him sign a book for me, I thanked him for his books and told him that I especially loved how he wrote his asexual characters. He immediately lifted his head from the book and held up his hand to show his ace ring. I did likewise. Aces unite, he cheered, and we high-fived. That was the first time I'd touched another person who wasn't family, but I didn't hesitate. That joy and physical connection with someone like me who understood me meant the world. And then he told me the character of his upcoming book was also ace, and I squealed like a fangirl and embarrassed myself like usual around famous people. So, yeah. But no regrets, it was a wonderful event. An estimated 1% of the population is asexual, about the same number as having red hair. So though it's a whopping 70 million people worldwide with an invisible orientation is difficult, if not impossible, to see. I'm part of a meetup group called Asexuals and Aromantics of the Mid-Atlantic. One thing we like to do when we're all together is put our hands in for a group photo. And I have a slide. Hopefully we can get the slide up. So this is a photo from one of the years we marched together in the Washington, D.C. Pride Parade. It represents a visibility that we aren't usually afforded, and also a connection with each other. Incidentally, I'm the geek with the protective sun sleeves on. Yeah, of course. No surprises there. Right. All right, thank you for the photo. It's a connection with people we don't have to explain ourselves around, with people who know our terminology and inside jokes about cake and robots, with people who have similar experiences and similar struggles, with people we can talk to for advice about a situation or to more deeply understand why we might be feeling what we're feeling. Connection can be as simple as physical touch, like a high five, but it can also be seeing someone with a ring and knowing without even talking to the person that the two of you might have something special in common.
Yo, I love Thanksgiving. It's probably my favorite holiday. And one of the reasons for that is that there are just no expectations. We gather together with those that we love in just a spirit of connection. No gift exchanging, no materialistic undertones, family members traveling, taking time off work, the comments about how much the kids have grown, and then there's the food. There might not be any better food than Thanksgiving food. I really enjoy cooking and baking, and especially for others, and Thanksgiving is the perfect opportunity. It brings nostalgia. As I cook the same dishes my mother and my grandmother used to cook and bake, and as much as I try to teach my daughter to do the same, it doesn't always work. Did you know that since the sense of smell is one of the most powerful in relation to memory? Think about a Thanksgiving morning, walking into the kitchen and all the smells filling the house. What kind of feelings come to you? What dish did you most look forward to? Can you think about that smell now? The individual spices fill up the room as you patiently or impatiently wait for that dish. Now imagine the hands that are making that dish, the stories that those hands hold, the hard work that goes into preparing a meal. Sometimes your hands get quite the workout. I'm sure in your family, as in mine, we always say our secret ingredient is love. And when a meal is made with love, doesn't it just taste better? Now, most of us are blessed with these Thanksgiving memories, right? But what if you shared a secret with your family and loved ones, and they couldn't accept that about who you truly are? And then suddenly situations like Thanksgiving change from a warm memory to an event that isn't even safe anymore. We want to recognize Coming Out Day this past Friday, October 11th. It was first celebrated in the United States in 1988 with the emphasis on the most basic form of activism being coming out to family, friends, and colleagues and living life as an openly queer person. It is celebrated on the anniversary of the Second National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. The founders of National Coming Out Day believed that homophobia thrives in an atmosphere of silence and ignorance, and that once people know that they have loved ones who are lesbian or gay, they are far less likely to maintain homophobic or oppressive views. We also recognize that coming out may not always be safe for people in the LGBTQ plus community and can lead to hypervisibility for those with intersecting identities, potentially leading to more discrimination. So opportunities like Friendsgiving arose from these situations. While not a new concept, there wasn't really a term for it until about the 2000s. Friendsgiving is an alternative, a new chosen family gathering where you're accepted just as you are. One of my favorite traditions during our Friendsgiving is when we get out our gratitude jar and we take turns reading all of them out loud together. Our gratitude jar sits in the gallery year-round, and we invite everyone to add little joys to it. Sometimes it's as little as, I had a great sandwich today. Sometimes it's a picture of a cat drawn by a child, and sometimes it's a meaningful sentiment that leaves us all with a teary eye. And I invite you all to put one in there today. Since Friendsgiving is usually a potluck like dinner, everyone brings their own dish, maybe something that is special to them, and then a new group of memories can be made. Smells from different backgrounds and different ethnicities. Bringing the tradition of Friendsgiving back to Accotink was a priority for True Accotink Colors. We wanted to make a safe place to gather for people who may not be welcome home. The queer kids who weren't accepted by their families, the immigrants who are unable to be with their families in their home countries. All these hands can come together to make the most delicious feast you could ever imagine. The people we choose in our Friendsgiving group are known to be trusted. So when we taste the food that these hands have prepared, we can taste the love even more. Thank you.
Right, and I have good news to report. We have found the missing video, so our third speaker is Scott Larson.
Good morning, everyone. Unfortunately, I have been nursing this cold for a couple weeks. And so instead of coming in to do the service in person, I kind of decided it's probably better for all of us that if I keep myself and my cold at home. This morning, I'm here to talk to you about the importance of being seen, the importance of visibility. For decades, many LGBTQ plus individuals were forced into the shadows. Their identities either misunderstood or ignored altogether. But when we are seen, we break down the barriers of ignorance and replace them with empathy and understanding. We become more than just statistics or labels. We become real people. Being seen matters because it allows us to claim our rightful space in society. Our stories, our struggles, and our triumphs deserve to be part of the larger narrative. Whether it is standing up for our rights or simply holding hands in public, these moments of visibility are acts of courage. They are declarations that we are here and that we will not be erased. For LGBTQ plus youth, especially, visibility can be life-saving. When young people see others like themselves in positive roles, it tells them that they too have a future. It shows them that they belong and that they are not alone, and that it is possible to live openly, authentically. Visibility fosters hope, and hope is a powerful tool against isolation, discrimination, and despair. When LGBTQ plus students see themselves reflected in their teachers and in the broader school environment, it sends a message that you belong here and that you are valued, not in spite of your identity, but because of who you are, fully and authentically. But being seen isn't just important for us as individuals, it is vital for creating a more inclusive and compassionate world. When people outside of the LGBT plus community see us, it forces them to confront their own prejudice and assumptions. It invites a dialogue that leads to understanding and ultimately change. Well, I have many experiences in my life for being an openly gay man. I think these experiences, knowing me, have led a few people, I hope, to a more tolerant heart. I am just going to talk about one of the more recent experiences I had as a teacher. I've always been very open with my students. I've always talked about my weekends and what my family did over the weekend, including myself and my husband. And it's just something I do to get kids talking and having those authentic conversations with students that makes them feel relaxed in the classroom. Well, last year in October, a new student transferred in from another school. This student, very shy, very closed off. I don't know what it was, maybe just the conversations about what I did with my husband over the weekend, or maybe it was the pride flag sitting out of my pen cup. But slowly they began to open up to me. And in fact, at one point, dropping advanced placement biology to come into my other morning class. So the student and I spent every morning together in 2 different classes, and just me being my authentic self and being unapologetic of who I am. I started to learn a little bit more and more about this student, and one of the things I learned is this student who was in in their senior year, was beginning their transition. So it was an interesting experience. It was incredible to see this person go from a shy, introverted person to becoming the man that they saw themselves that they truly were. It was an amazing year, and it's a student I probably will never forget. But what got me the most was at the end of the school year, finals were submitted, and of course, my class having a final project, I received this note on the student's final project. And it says, "Hi, yes, this is an author's note. Please read the whole paper. I know you're busy grading, but I'd like if you saw the whole thing." So it goes on and it talks about the importance of having long passwords and other cybersecurity tips until you get to the last paragraph. And the last paragraph reads like this. Now, normally the last paragraph is the conclusion of a paper. But I'd like to take this time to thank you, Mr. Larson. You have made my senior year an incredible experience, and I don't think I could have gotten as far as I did without your help and support. I really appreciate everything that you did. Yeah, it kind of makes me a little teary. If I hadn't to name my most influential teacher throughout my whole life, high school career, it would be you. Thank you for being the laughter I needed in the mornings. You're an amazing teacher and even better person. Starting off your class as Kai and landing at Caspian, you were so supportive the whole way. And so with much gratitude and pride, I thank you. I hope you continue to be an inspiration to your students to come. So, gets me teary-eyed every time I read it. But the important thing is, I was myself. I was my authentic self, and I allowed myself to be seen so that those in front of me, those kids coming up, can see that it's okay and that they will, in fact, be valued for who they are in my classroom. So, Kai did pop in at the beginning of the school year, doing great. Of course, haven't heard much from him, but it was an incredible journey to see this person grow. And, all I did was allow myself to be seen, allow myself to be, who I am. And those little seeds plant and they grow. So let's never underestimate the power of being who we are, and showing the world who we are. By embracing visibility, we're not just affirming our own worth, we're helping to shape a world that no one has to live in fear because of who they love or who they are. So thank you all, and I will see you all soon.
Right. Again, we honor Indigenous Peoples Day with our chalice extinguishing words from Two-Spirit writer Daniel Heath Justice. I would ask you to remember only this one thing, said Badger. The stories people tell have a way of taking care of them. If stories come to you, care for them and learn to give them away when they are needed. Sometimes a person needs a story more than food to stay alive. That is why we put these stories in each other's memory. This is how people care for themselves. One day you will be good storytellers. Never forget these obligations.
I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join me in our community blessing with these words of David Bumba. Join hands as you're comfortable. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. Now that we've gathered together in this welcoming and inclusive spiritual home, let us go out into the world, nourished, rejuvenated, and inspired to share our values.